Information security. In this video, we are going to see about what is information security. Information security, that is IS, is the process of protecting the user information from the unauthorized access, modification, disclosure, inspection, recording, or destruction. It is the process of safeguarding an organization's data from unauthorized access or modification to ensure its availability, confidentiality, and integrity. For example, a message could be modified during transmission by someone intercepting it before it reaches the intended recipient. Good cryptography tools can help to moderate this security threat. Information security is designed to protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of computer system data from those with malicious intentions. Digital signatures can improve information security by enhancing authenticity processes and prompting individuals to prove their identity before they can gain access to computer data. Two major aspects of information security are IT security. It is also called as computer security. It is applied for protecting all the company technology from the malicious cyber attacks which attempts to break into the private information of the company. Information assurance. It ensures that the data is not lost in case of any critical issues except the occurrence of natural disasters, physical theft, etc. occurs. Security goals and services. Now let us see the working process of security goals and services. The goals and services of information security are as follows. Confidentiality, integrity, availability, authenticity, non-repudiation, access control. Confidentiality. Confidentiality means maintaining secrecy during transmission of information or when it is stored. Confidentiality refers to limiting information access and disclosure to authorized users and preventing unauthorized access. Authentication methods like user IDs and passwords are used to provide the same, which means that confidentiality is focused on the data privacy and limiting access to individual users based on their rights. Integrity. Data integrity means maintaining the accuracy and consistency of the data. Integrity refers to the trustworthiness of information resources. It also means that the change made to the stored information need to be done only by authorized entities and through authorized mechanism. It requires an audit trail mechanism for maintaining the details about changes made to information stored and also a fallback position in case the changes are proved to be unfavorable. Availability. Availability refers to the availability of the required information resources. Availability, like other aspects of security, may be affected by purely technical issues, natural phenomena, or human cause. The information system should be capable of providing the required information when needed. Thus, many security controls are used to make the information available in all situations. Authenticity. Authenticity is an owned integrity. It is to ensure that the data, transactions, communications, or documents are genuine. It provides authentication to both the persons involved in the transaction. This morphs into authentication protocol, where the verifier checks if the data record from a specific person. Non-repudiation. Non-repudiation is a form of integrity control which ensures that once a party has made a statement, they cannot make any changes to the statement later. It is an extension of authenticity, and it adds an extra feature by which third parties can be convinced. Normal authenticity is between a prover and a verifier. The verifier becomes convinced that the data at hand really comes from the prover. With non-repudiation, the verifier also obtains a proof that he may show to a third entity who would become equally convinced. This is the basis for digital signatures. Access control. It is a bridge between confidentiality, integrity, and authenticity. It begins with authentication and then works as what data the authenticated individual may access, where access is a combination of reading and writing. It ensures the proper enforcement of authentication. It ensures that only the limited data related to that particular user in accordance with his rights is accessible to that user. Authentication. In this video, we are going to see about the usage of authentication. Authentication is the process of determining whether someone or something is, in fact, who or what it is declared to be. Authentication is to ensure that an identity is valid so that the appropriate levels of authorization can be provided to the user. Authentication is to make sure that the data, transactions, communications, or documents are genuine. It authenticates both the persons involved in the transaction. In private and public computer networks, including the Internet, authentication is commonly done through the use of login passwords. Each user registers initially using an assigned or self-declared password. The user must know and use the previously declared password to log in into his account and use the stored data or to access his account. During the creation of the account, each user will be granted with certain rights, and the user can log in and access his account with those granted rights after his login is authenticated by the system. The weakness in this system for transactions that are significant is that passwords can often be stolen, accidentally revealed, or forgotten. The use of digital certificates issued and verified by a certificate authority (CA) as a part of the public key infrastructure is considered likely to become the standard way to perform authentication on the Internet. Some of the examples where the authentication process is used are as follows: Google account login, Internet banking, ATM, website portals, social networks, computerized lockers, user accounts in computers. Confidentiality. In this video, we are going to see about what is confidentiality. Confidentiality means that the information is only available to those who are entitled in an agreed manner and at an agreed time, and it will not be disclosed or otherwise put at the disposal of unauthorized persons. Confidentiality prevents sensitive information from reaching the wrong people while making sure that the right people can get it. It is about keeping the information secret. A good example is an account number or routing number when banking online. It is about controlling access to files either in storage or in transit. Data encryption is a common method of ensuring confidentiality. User IDs and passwords constitute a standard procedure. Two-factor authentication is becoming the norm, and biometric verification is an option as well. In addition, users can take precautions to minimize the number of places where the information appears and the number of times it is actually transmitted to complete a required transaction. Other ways to ensure information confidentiality include enforcing file permissions and access control lists to restrict access to sensitive information. Some of the fields where the data confidentiality is used are military secrets, financial and health records, username and passwords, transaction details. Integrity. In this video, we are going to see about the process of integrity. Integrity involves maintaining the consistency, accuracy, and trustworthiness of data over its entire life cycle. Integrity means that the information and the information systems are reliable, accurate, and current and have not been altered or damaged as a result of equipment or software flaws, natural disasters, or unauthorized human action. It prevents the improper and unauthorized changes to the data. It means that the data must not be changed in transit, and steps must be taken to ensure that data cannot be altered by unauthorized people. It requires an audit trail mechanism for maintaining the details about changes and also a fallback position in case the changes are proved to be unfavorable. The backup must be kept to replace the data if any changes occurs due to some unauthorized resources. Commonly used methods to protect data integrity includes hashing the data received and comparing it with the hash of the original message. Most convenient methods would be to use existing schemes such as GPG to digitally sign the data. Integrity mechanisms fall into two classes: prevention, detection. Prevention. Prevention mechanisms seek to maintain the integrity of the data by blocking any unauthorized attempts to change the data or any attempts to change the data in unauthorized ways. Detection. Detection mechanisms do not try to prevent violations of integrity. They simply respond that the data's integrity is no longer trustworthy. The mechanisms may detect the actual cause of the integrity violation, or they may simply respond that the file is now corrupt. Working with integrity is very different from working with confidentiality. The data is either compromised or it is not. But integrity includes both the correctness and the trustworthiness of the data. Availability. Now we are going to see about what is availability. Availability refers that the data must be available and accessible to the authorized users when it is needed. And also it protects the data against denial of service attacks. This means that the computing systems used to store and process the information, the security controls used to protect it, and the communication channels used to access it must be functioning correctly. A good availability system must be able to remain available at all times, preventing service disruptions due to power outages, hardware failures, and system upgrades. The aspect of availability that is relevant to security is that someone may deliberately arrange to deny access to data or to a service by making it unavailable. Availability is best ensured by rigorously maintaining all hardware, reforming hardware repairs immediately when needed, providing a certain measure of redundancy and failover, providing adequate communications bandwidth and preventing the occurrence of bottlenecks, implementing emergency backup power systems, keeping current with all necessary system upgrades, guarding against malicious actions such as denial of service (DOS) attacks. Non-repudiation. In this video, let us see about the section of non-repudiation. Non-repudiation means creating evidence to ensure that no one who has processed or transferred data can dispute their part in it afterwards. It also implies that both the sender and receiver cannot deny about the sending and receiving of a message. The technology such as cryptographic system assists in non-repudiation efforts. It is an extension of authenticity and it adds an extra feature that third parties can be convinced. Normal authenticity is between a prover and a verifier. The verifier becomes convinced that the data at hand really comes from the prover. With non-repudiation, the verifier also obtains a proof that he may show to a third entity who would become equally convinced. This is the basis for digital signatures. Digital signature and public key encryption mechanisms are used to establish authenticity and non-repudiation. Access control. In this video, we are going to see about the process of access control. Access control is a bridge between confidentiality, integrity, and authenticity. It begins with authentication and then works out what data the authenticated individual may access, where access is a combination of reading and writing. Access control means that the data or the information systems cannot be used without permission. Access control will restrict the unauthorized users to the user data. Access control is used to allow the users to access only his data. Each authenticated user can access, that is, read and write, the data only according to his access rights. Example: in Facebook, the user is allowed to edit only his account settings like profile pictures, privacy settings, etc. He cannot access others' account. Similarly, access control will restrict the access rights of each user according to their granted privileges. Threats. In this video, we are going to see about what is a threat. A threat in the context of computer security refers to anything that has the potential to cause serious harm to a computer system. A threat is something that may or may not happen, but has the potential to cause serious damage. Threats can lead to attacks on computer systems, networks, and more. The term threat refers to the source and means of a particular type of attack. They can put individuals' computer systems and business computers at risk. A threat assessment is performed to determine the best approaches to securing a system against a particular threat or a class of threat. Penetration testing exercises are substantially focused on assessing threat profiles to help one develop effective countermeasures against the types of attacks represented by a given threat. The risk assessments focus more on analyzing the potential and tendency of one's resources to fall prey to various attacks. Threat assessments focus more on analyzing the attacker's resources. Analyzing threats can help one to develop specific security policies to implement in line with policy priorities and understand the specific implementation needs for securing one's resources. Threats can be classified as follows: spoofing, tampering, repudiation, denial of services, information disclosure. Vulnerabilities. Let us see the function of vulnerabilities. Vulnerability is a cybersecurity term that refers to a flaw in a system that can leave it open to attack. A vulnerability may also refer to any type of weakness in a computer system itself, in a set of procedures, or in anything that leaves information security exposed to a threat. To make use of a vulnerability, an attacker must have at least one applicable tool or technique that can connect to a system's weakness. Vulnerability management is the process of identifying, classifying, remediating, and mitigating vulnerabilities. Computer users and network personnel can protect computer systems from vulnerabilities by keeping software security patches up to date. These patches can remedy flaws or security holes that were found in the initial release. Computer and network personnel should also stay informed about current vulnerabilities in the software they use and seek out ways to protect against them. Security attacks. In this video, we are going to see about security attacks. Any action that compromises the secrecy of information owned by an organization. Types of security attacks are passive attacks, active attacks. Passive attacks. A passive attack attempts to learn or listen the information from the system, but they won't change the information. The goal of the opponent is to obtain information that is being transmitted. Two types of passive attacks are release of message contents, traffic analysis. Release of message contents. A telephone conversation, an electronic mail message, and a transferred file may have confidential information. We would like to prevent the information from the attackers during transmission. Traffic analysis. Traffic analysis is a subclass when the contents of the messages are masked. Even if the opponents captured the message, could not get the information from the message. The common technique for masking contents is encryption. Active attacks. active attack attempts to alter system resources or affect their operation. Active attacks divided into 4 categories: masquerade, replay, modification of messages, denial of service. Masquerade. A masquerade takes place when one entity pretends to be a different entity. A masquerade attack usually includes one of the other forms of active attack. For example, authentication sequences can be captured and replayed after a valid authentication sequence has taken place, thus enabling an authorized entity with few privileges to obtain extra privileges by impersonating an entity with those privileges. Replay. Replay involves the passive capture of a data unit and its successive retransmission to create an unauthorized effect. Modification of messages. Modification of messages means that some portion of a legal message is changed or that the messages are delayed or reordered to produce an unauthorized effect. Denial of service. The denial of service prevents or inhibits the normal use or management of communications facilities. This attack might contain a specific target. Example, the security audit service. Unauthorized access. In this video, we are going to see about what is unauthorized access. Unauthorized access is the process of gaining access to a network or user account without the knowledge of the user. Viewing private accounts, messages, files, or resources when one has not been given permission from the owner. Viewing confidential information without permission or qualifications is called as unauthorized access. Unauthorized access could also occur if a user attempts to access an area of a system they should not be accessing. When attempting to access that area, they would be denied access and possibly see an unauthorized access message. Some of the examples of unauthorized access are as follows: compromising a computer by bypassing its access control, exploiting a vulnerability in the operating system or application running on it. Illegally using services available only to legitimate users by using their user ID and password without their consent. Providing a third person with users' user ID and password without their consent. Accessing the user's system through internet without the user knowledge. Trying to access the user's online account without the user knowledge. Hacking the information transferred through the net or other network connections. Unauthorized access of the user data is illegal and many laws are in action against it. The unauthorized access can be prevented as follows. Always keep firewall on. Do not ignore security patches. Backup should be kept for all data. Never open emails from unknown sources. Keep the passwords changed frequently. Keep the antivirus installed and frequently updated. Impersonation. Let us see the function of impersonation. Impersonation is the process of gaining access to a system or network in order to commit fraud, industrial espionage, or identity theft. Impersonation is designed to meet the security requirements of client-server applications. When running in a client security context, a service is the client to some degree. All of the service's threads uses an access token representing the client's credentials to obtain access to the objects to which the client has access. The primary reason for impersonation is to cause access checks to be performed against the client's identity. Using the client's identity for access checks can cause access to be either restricted or expanded depending on what the client has permission to do. For example, suppose a file server has files containing confidential information and each of these files is protected by a DACL. To prevent a client from obtaining unauthorized access to information in these files, the service can impersonate the client before accessing the files. If the impersonation succeeds, then the impersonation can be done up to one of the following levels, which is selected when it connects to the server. Anonymous. The client is anonymous to the service. The service can impersonate the client, but the impersonation token does not contain any information about the client. Identity. The service can get the identity of the client and use this information in its own security mechanism, but it cannot impersonate the client. Impersonate. The service can impersonate the client if the service is on the same computer as the client process. It can access network resources as the client. If the service is on a remote computer, it can impersonate the client only when accessing resources on the service's computer. Delegate. The service can impersonate the client not only when it accesses resources on the service's computer, but also when it accesses resources on other computers. This level is supported only in Windows 2000 and later versions of the operating system. Denial of services. In this video, we are going to see about the process of denial of services. Denial of service (DOS) is a type of attack on a network that is designed to make a network unavailable to its users by flooding it with useless traffic. Many DOS attacks, such as the ping of death and teardrop attacks, exploits limitation in the TCP/IP protocols. Examples of some DOS attacks are as follows: saturating network resources, thereby preventing users from using network resources; disrupting connections between two computers, preventing communications between services; preventing a particular individual from accessing a service; disrupting services to a specific system or client. DOS attacks flood a remote network with an enormous amount of protocol packets. Routers and servers eventually become overloaded by attempting to route or handle each packet. Within minutes, network activity exponentially rises and the network stops responding to normal traffic and service requests from clients. This is also known as a network saturation attack or bandwidth consumption attack. Common forms of denial of service attacks are buffer overflow attacks, SYN attack, teardrop attack, computer viruses, physical infrastructure attacks, SMUF attack. Malicious software. In this video, we are going to see about the malicious software. Malicious software. Malicious software, commonly known as malware, is any software that brings harm to a computer system. Malware can be in the form of worms, viruses, trojans, spyware, adware, and rootkits, etc., which steal protected data, delete documents, or add software not approved by a user. Malware is software designed to penetrate or damage a computer system without the owner's informed consent. The expression is a general term to mean a variety of forms of hostile, intrusive, or annoying software or program code. Malicious code is code causing damage to a computer or system. It is a code which is not easily or solely controlled through the use of antivirus tools. Malicious code can either activate itself or be like a virus, requiring a user to perform an action, such as clicking on something or opening an email attachment. Malicious code does not just affect one computer, it can also get into networks and spread. It can also send messages through email and steal information or cause even more damage by deleting files. Some forms of malware will spy on user internet traffic. Spyware monitors a user's location and if enabled, it can capture sensitive information, for example, credit card numbers, promoting identity theft, etc. Malware can be avoided as follows. The operating system and any other program which are used should be updated frequently when there is an update available. Emails from unknown sources and its attachment should not be opened. Should not click all the unwanted pop-ups when browsing on the internet. Antivirus should be installed and updated frequently. Anti-spyware and anti-adware should be installed. Use a web browser which is more secure and efficient. Some of the anti-malware softwares are as follows. Microsoft Security Essentials, Microsoft Windows Defender, AVG Internet Security, Spybot Search and Destroy freeware, Avast Home Edition for personal use, Panda Internet Security, MacScan for macOS and Mac OS X. Viruses. In this video, we are going to see about the process of viruses. A computer virus is a computer program that can copy itself and infect a computer without the permission or knowledge of the user. A virus is a type of malicious software, that is malware, comprised of small pieces of code attached to legitimate programs. When the program runs, the virus attached to it also runs. The term virus is used in a wrong sense to refer to other types of malware, adware, and spyware programs that do not have the reproductive ability. A virus can spread from one computer to another when their host is connected with the target system through many ways such as network, internet, removable medium like USB, floppy, etc. Some viruses and malwares have functionalities that are noticeable by the computer user, but most are surreptitious. This makes it hard for the average user to notice, find, and disable. Most personal computers are now connected to the internet and to the local area networks, facilitating the spread of malicious code. Today's viruses may also take advantage of network services such as the World Wide Web, email, instant messaging, and file sharing systems to spread, blurring the line between viruses and worms. Viruses can destroy specific executable files and alter data in certain files that causes loss of data. Viruses cause the system to hang such that it does not respond to any keyboard or mouse movements. Worms. In this video, we are going to see about what is worm. A worm is a type of malicious software, that is malware, that replicates while moving across computers, leaving copies of itself in the memory of each computer in its path. A computer worm is a self-replicating computer program. It uses a network to send copies of itself to other nodes in the network, and it may do it without any user intervention. Characteristics of a worm: ability to replicate. It is self-contained and does not require a host. It is activated while creating a process. If it is a network worm, it is replicated across communication links. Worms harm the network by consuming bandwidth, whereas viruses corrupt or modify files. A worm locates a computer's vulnerability and spreads within the vulnerability area like an infection while continually seeking new vulnerabilities. Like viruses, worms often originate from email attachments that appear to be from trusted senders. Worms then spread to a user's contacts via his email account and address book. Many worms are designed only to spread and do not attempt to alter the systems. However, the network traffic and other unintended effects can often cause major disruption. Developing a worm requires a network environment and an author who is not only familiar with the network services and facilities, but also the operating facilities required to operate once they have reached the computer. Protection against worm programs is like protection against break-ins. If an intruder can enter your computer, so can a worm program. If the computer is secure from unauthorized access, then it is secure from worm program. Most worms disrupt services and create system management problems. Some worms scan for passwords and send the information back to the attacker. In some cases, worms can install Trojan horses or viruses that cause damage to the systems. Trojan horse. In this video, we are going to see about the function of Trojan horse. A Trojan horse is a seemingly benign program. When activated, it harms a computer. A Trojan horse is also known as a Trojan virus or Trojan. It is a class of computer threats that appears to perform a desirable function, but in fact performs undisclosed malicious functions that leads to unauthorized access to the host machine. For example, if a computer game is designed such that when executed by the user, opens a backdoor that allows a hacker to control the computer of the user, then the computer game is said to be a Trojan horse. The following are the types of Trojan horses. Backdoor Trojan. It opens a backdoor for a user to access a victim's system at a later time. Downloader. This Trojan downloads malicious software and harms the victim's computer system. Info Stealer. This Trojan attempts to steal information from the victim's computer. Remote Access Trojan (RAT). This can be hidden in games or other programs that gives the attacker control of the victim's computer. A Data Sending Trojan. This gives the perpetrator sensitive information like passwords. Destructive Trojan. This destroys the victim's files. Proxy Trojan. As a proxy, this allows the attacker to hijack a victim's computer and conduct illegal activities from the victim's computer. Trojan horses generally are spread through email exchange of disks and information between computers. Worms also spread Trojan horses. The damage that Trojan horses cause is as same what a virus. Most of the time, the users are unaware of the damage a Trojan causes because of the Trojan horse masking effect. Spyware. In this video, we are going to see about the process of spyware. Spyware is a computer software that is installed surreptitiously on a personal computer to intercept or take partial control over the user's interaction with the computer without the user's knowledge. It gathers user information through the user's internet connection. Once installed, the spyware monitors user activity on the internet and transmits that information in the background to someone else. Spyware can also gather information about email addresses, passwords, credit card numbers, sites that have been visited. It can also interfere with user control of the computer in other ways. Spyware is known to change computer settings, resulting in slow connection speeds, different home pages, and/or loss of internet or functionality of other programs. Spyware is similar to a Trojan horse. It uses the computer's memory resources, also sends information to the spyware's home base via the user's internet connection. As spyware is using memory and system resources, the applications running in the background can lead to system crashes or general system instability. People become a victim of spyware on downloading certain peer-to-peer file swapping products that are available today. Spyware exists as independent executable programs and have the ability to monitor keystrokes, scan files on the hard drive, snoop other applications like chat programs or word processes, install other spyware programs, read cookies, change the default home page on the web browser. Spyware applications are typically hidden component of freeware or shareware programs that are downloaded from the internet. However, majority of shareware and freeware applications do not come with a spyware. Licensing agreement that come with software downloads sometimes warn the user that a spyware program will be installed along with the requested software. Anti-spyware softwares should be used to remove spyware programs running in the user system. Security mechanisms. In this video, we are going to see about security mechanisms. A process that is designed to detect, prevent, or recover from a security attack is called security mechanism. Security mechanisms are defined in X.800. These mechanisms are divided into two types: specific security mechanism, pervasive security mechanisms. Specific security mechanisms. Specific security mechanism might be included into the suitable protocol and give some of the OSI security services. Encipherment, digital signature, access control, data integrity, authentication exchange, traffic padding, routing control, notarization. Encipherment, the process of transforming data into non-understandable form by use of mathematical algorithms is called encipherment. Digital signature. Digital signature is a mathematical system for representing the authenticity of a digital message or document or account. Access control, a range of mechanisms that enforce access rights to resources. Data integrity, a range of mechanisms used to guarantee the integrity of a data unit. Authentication exchange, a mechanism planned to guarantee the individuality of an entity by means of information exchange. Traffic padding, the process of inserting bits into the gaps in data stream to frustrate traffic analysis attempts. Routing control, it enables the selection of secure routes for certain data and allows to change route, especially when security is suspected. Notarization, the use of a trusted third party to guarantee certain properties of a data exchange. Pervasive security mechanisms. Pervasive security mechanisms are not specific to any particular OSI security service. Variety of pervasive security mechanisms are trusted functionality, security label, event detection, security audit trail, security recovery. Trusted functionality. Trusted functionality is perceived to be correct with respect to some criteria. Security label, the marking bound to a resource that names the security attributes of that resource. Event detection, detection of security relevant events. Security audit trail, it is an independent review and inspection system of records and activities of collected data. Security recovery, it takes recovery actions and deals with requests from mechanisms such as event handling.